Welcome back, student section. Pick 'em week 9. Nueve. Shelly, it's just me and you tonight. Smitty ditched us.
Smitty was scary getting all his picks wrong again.
He was, and that's horrible. That's horrible. I gotta find what our standings are at the moment. I don't even know where I put my notebook that had them in them. I hope they're here.
I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Here we are. All right. So as of right now, I am 16 and 17 overall. 1-1 on locks. Still not good. Shelly, you are 14 and 18. 1-1 on locks. Still not good. Smitty is 15 and 24, but he went 11 and 11 last week. So just showing how he did the first week, which is awful. But he's 3-0 on locks. So that's pretty good. But our best guest picker we've had was Austin with at 16 and 10. That was last week. He did go 0 and 1 in his lock though. This week we're going to switch things up a little bit as to how we're doing it. Basically, we're both going to give our upset first, and then we're going to do some spreads, going to do some totals, and then we'll give a few miscellaneous picks at the end of it. So, Shelly, let's get it started.
Let's do this.
Let's do it. All right. So, your upset of the week, we have the same one.
Yeah, we do.
You might as well just give it up.
Yeah, I always do this. UVA is going to beat UNC this week.
Mm-hmm.
I feel weirdly enough, I feel very confident that it's going to occur because at some point in the day, while we're recording this, UVA is about to have their uniform drop, and I believe it's going to be a blackout uniform. Teams are undefeated when having a sweet uniform drop. That is a scientific fact that is proven by some study that occurred at some point in time.
Sure.
Yeah. But UNC is also a team that's very spotty, and when games that they're not supposed to lose in, they've lost. So the most obvious one being Florida State.
Yes.
I would love to point out a statistic here because I'm changing it up this week. My picks haven't been great. But Virginia's 3-2 against the spread. All right.
Winning record.
So is North Carolina, but North Carolina's quote unquote a good team. UVA, allegedly not a good team.
Win, great teams cover.
I'm just gonna say this: UVA's due for a big win.
I agree. And here's my take on it. We'll get to it when we go to the spread because we're going to talk about this part of this game too. I actually added this in before I knew that we were picking the same game. So we really don't have to talk about the same spread either because, quite frankly, it's the same. If UVA wins this game, they're covering the spread. So, but I basically wrote down like this team's a lot different with Brennan Armstrong at quarterback.
Yes,
he's a runner. He's a passer. He's got a decent arm. It's not great by any means, but he's got a decent arm.
It doesn't look the best, but it gets there. It gets there pretty quick, and his receivers tend to play a little bit better when he's in the game, as opposed to Lindell Stone when he just sort of hucks it up there, and you hope you're in the area.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like Brennan Armstrong does a very catchable football.
Yeah, and he is a runner, but you also have two more running QBs that they can mix in there. So a 3-quarterback system, that's a lot of dudes to game plan for a defense that's really not good in UNC. So I think they can put up some points this week. I'm thinking even maybe 30 plus. And that may be a lot for a UVA team. I don't know, but I think their defense is what's going to be the deciding factor here. They had a lot of tackles for loss against Miami. And they've got good corners. I'm pretty sure Joey Blunt he's back.
I'm not sure. I think Joey Blunt may be a game time decision
because I know. I believe. Who's the big receiver? The 6.
Lavelle Davis.
Yeah, I believe he will be back.
Yes, that'll be big. Literally big, but
literally
figuratively as well.
Yeah. So yeah, UVA to cover and win. Let's rock with it. All right, so spreads. Let's kick it off first. This is one of the most intriguing games for me. Memphis at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's favored by 6.5 points. You give your pick first.
So I really like Cincy in this one. I think they're going to cover the 6.5, simply off the fact that Memphis is not very good against the spread. They haven't done a very good job all year. They're only 1-3. Plus, add on the fact that Cincinnati is one of the best teams in the country, not just in the Group 5, literally in the country, at their place after a dominating win last week. I like the momentum that's rolling for Cincy right now. Memphis, that team's been spotty at best against an SMU squad. I believe they lost at the wire to them, whereas Cincinnati blew SMU out of the water, effectively ending any hope that they had at being a Final Four team standing, which I don't think anybody out there believed that they would be. But nonetheless, Cincinnati they established themselves last week as like they're a legitimate team to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I agree. That was the first thing I wrote down was Cincy is a legit team.
Yes.
They're a legitimately good team. I told someone last week, I said, Cincy is going to make the college football playoff. Georgia's going to lose again. You have Oklahoma State, who I don't think their offense is good enough to win every game this season. So
and I think you throw them even, I don't know. I feel like if you threw Cincinnati in there, I don't think Cincinnati's going to win the college football semifinal game. Assuming they get in, they'll be the 4 seed. I think this is all hypothetical here, but I think Cincinnati would honestly hang better with an Alabama or with a Clemson, depending on who looks up at the end as in that one spot, than an Oklahoma State, which is a team that the Big 12 is not very good.
No,
it's a battle of attrition after Oklahoma State, really, for being honest. But
I'm taking Cincy minus 6.5 as well. But also to add on to what I was saying was Notre Dame's going to lose probably by like 40 plus to Clemson on November 7th.
Yeah, probably.
Like that is plain and simple. Notre Dame is just not good enough to keep it close to Clemson. I don't think.
And
I don't think now they could show me something different, but
the thing is with Notre Dame is that they've won. I mean, they've won every game, obviously, but when they actually are given an opponent that is somewhat competent football team, they tend to struggle.
Yeah.
Or a team that's filled with athletes like we saw against Louisville. Obviously, the conditions weren't ideal, but should not have been a 12 to 7 game.
12-7, yeah.
Like that should not have been remotely close, but it was. They did bounce back against a Pittsburgh team that we can now say full on sucks. I think it's safe to say that now.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get a cupcake again this week. We're not going to really know anything different, or they're not. It's not going. Our opinion is not going to change on Notre Dame this week unless they somehow lose. But yeah, I think they're. I'm so hot and cold with them because one day I feel really good about them. The next day I think of it, I'm like,
yeah,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame loses 2 more games this year. I think they lose November 7th to Clemson, and I'm taking a shot in the dark here. I think they lose the last game of the season to Wake Forest.
Wake Forest has been a team that surprised a lot of people, myself included.
Wake
They're
Forest
not bad.
is good. I really like Wake Forest.
Sam Hartman's low key, pretty good quarterback.
Yeah, how they handled Virginia Tech this past weekend made me realize that they're a good team.
Yeah, they are.
So that moves us on here to Kansas State at West Virginia. West Virginia is 3.5-point favorites. This is very interesting to me. I took at least like 10, 15 minutes to think about this. Because Kansas State's coming off a blowout win against Kansas, and West Virginia is coming off of a bad loss to Texas Tech. But by law of logic, I'm taking West Virginia minus 3.5.
I'm going to throw you an interesting fact that's going to strengthen your case here.
Okay.
So this season, after losing a football game, West Virginia is 1-0 against the spread. Give me West Virginia. And I know this is gonna. It's maybe not the sexy pick, and Kansas State they're rolling. They look pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I think West Virginia does it this week.
I like them. I like them a lot. West Virginia's defense is good, and I know they struggled a bit against Texas Tech, but this is a defense that is experienced. I don't really know why I haven't jumped on the Kansas State train yet, but I'm gonna stay away from that train for another week.
I'm not sold on them yet.
This is a very different West Virginia team that we've seen in a long time. Because we were used to seeing a West Virginia team that's going to put up 40 points every week. But this is a weird team because they're not going to put up 40 against you. They're going to put up 27 to 30 against you, but they're going to hold you to 17. Like I don't know. It's a very weird West Virginia team. It's a very hard team to pick on, but I think they get the job done at home. I would probably go a little bit differently if it was at Kansas State.
No, I agree. I think I'd give Kansas State the edge there if it was at their place as well. Just because I mean that's another factor you can take into that. I know it probably doesn't matter because West Virginia's used to this, but that time zone change low key plays a big part in some of this too.
Yeah, of course. All right, so both of us taking West Virginia there. Let's move on. Texas at Oklahoma State. This is also a very intriguing game for me. I'm not exactly sure why the spread is as low as it is. Oklahoma State is a very good football team. They've gotten a lot back, and they're only 3.5-point favorites. Shelly, go ahead.
I really like the way Oklahoma State's been playing the last few weeks. I'd say they're rolling at this point. Chuba Hubbard is looking like the dude that we know he is. You know, Texas is they're a team that's kind of searching for who they are. I think Herman's days are numbered there.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I'm riding or dying on these against or like how teams have been doing against the spread this week. That's the theme of my picks this week. And Oklahoma State is 3-1 against the spread. So I'm going to go with Oklahoma State here, but you're right. This game is definitely suspect for sure. Because this is, again, Texas is still a good football team deep down in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't really shown it much this year, or I mean, in some cases in games at all, but Oklahoma State is the number 6 team in the country for a reason. They can actually play defense, which is a concept that seemingly was discovered this year in the Big 12 after years of it being, around. And they do it better, almost as good as West Virginia does. So, I mean, I'm going to give that edge to Oklahoma State.
I am right with you. Oklahoma State's good. I don't think they're good enough to make the playoffs, but they've got one of the top defenses in football. Now you look at the defensive yards allowed and stuff, and you got to put it at a per game basis, because if you put it at a per game basis for teams that have played at least 4 games, I think they're probably somewhere around 8th in the country in yards allowed. In which, to boost my point about the last game, West Virginia is and of teams who have played more than 1 game, West Virginia has given up the least amount of yards per game. I mean,
them boys can play some defense. They just need to score now.
By logic, both of them win. Oklahoma State to cover 3.5. I would probably end up actually buying the hook here. I'd probably buy it down to 3. Just because I don't like 3.5, because then it feels a little hurt you. Moving on, Ohio State at Penn State. Ohio State favored by 12.5 points, rightfully so. Penn State lost to Indiana last week in a nail-biting finish, and probably a very controversial finish, depending on who you ask. And Ohio State handed Nebraska a brutal loss in week 1. So, Shelly? Your pick.
This one might be the toughest one on the slate. And that's with the Oklahoma State one there, with that really tricky line. That's a lot of points given Ohio State team, which is they are good and they will be a top 4 team in the country. I think they do end up winning this game. I think I'm gonna take Penn State here. I think this game low key might be a nail biter to cover. I have no expectations of them actually winning this game, but I just have a weird feeling about this one. And my feelings have been really, really bad when it comes to this, but something in my gut's telling me that Penn State's going to make this one a nail biter.
See, my gut tells me differently. I think Penn State's coming in with a chip on their shoulder. And the first few things that I'm going to say are going to favor Penn State in this game, but you're going to have to hear me out until the end. Penn State is 4th in the country in yards allowed per game right now. They only give up 211 yards and give up like 38 points to Indiana somehow. So that's going to play a big factor here. Penn State's defense is really good, but they lost to a team that is not Ohio State level. And when you lose to a team like Indiana, who I think I said it last week, actually, no, I didn't say it last week on here because I was wondering why in the world Penn State was that good. I said it on Student Section Pick'em, or Student Section Podcast.
On Monday, yeah.
Yes, on Monday. When a team like Indiana rolls into town, or I guess you host you and beats you, that's deflating for a team that started in the top 8 of the country. Like, that is deflating that you lose the first game of the season, looking ahead to your biggest game of the season. Because then you have no idea who you are. You don't know how you're going to bounce back. I think the talent and the coaching and just the pure experience is going to win this game and cover for Ohio State. I think Ohio State wins by probably 3 scores. I think they win by probably 17 to 20 in this. Obviously, playing at Penn State is never easy, but no crowd, no whiteout this year. So I'm taking Ohio State.
See, if there was a whiteout, I feel like that line would be a tick down.
Yeah, it'd probably be in single digits at like.
I'd say like 7.
Probably around 7.
Yeah,
my guess. All right. We don't even have to talk about UNC UVA. We both took UVA +7 and money line.
I think we will agree on this next one.
Yeah, UCF at Houston. UCF is favored by 2.5 points. I kind of want to give my logic real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
UCF -2.5 is my pick.
Ooh, we're not going to agree.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. All right. Here's why. Dylan Gabriel has thrown for 400+ yards in all but 1 game this year. UCF has scored more than 49 points in all but 1 game this year. Defense isn't there because they're giving up 50 points or so. They're probably averaging giving up like 40. But like normal, this offense is as good as ever. And I don't think Houston's going to be able to keep up with UCF. I think they win by 2 scores. But it's going to be a shootout. We'll talk about it in the totals as well. But I got UCF -2.5.
See, I think Houston's going to win this bad boy.
Woo.
Not simply off the fact, but a large part of that being UCF is not a good football team. They are a good offense. They are not a good football team. They are 1-4 against the spread this year. And my man Clayton Tune, when he's at home, let me read something. Let me read something off to you. This is in the month of October. 65 completions on 98 attempts for 945 yards, 7 touchdowns. This man gets the ball in his receivers' hands, and they do magic. Again, UCF's also a bad football team. I think if this game is a shootout, it's going to favor Houston in a weird way, simply because I don't think that UCF defense will be able to make a stop late in the game.
I agree. Here's my rebuttal to that. UCF is a pure pass offense. There is
no run game.
There's zero run game, but they also throw for 400 to 500 yards every single game.
I mean, you're going to do that, though, with your only play call basically is just send it as deep down the field as you can.
And that's American Athletic Conference.
It works.
It works. Houston is a bottom third team in college football in passing yards allowed per game. I don't like that if I'm a Houston bet, because I think Dylan Gabriel is experienced enough that he can easily throw for 450 in this one.
Could.
He threw for 600 against Memphis. That could happen too.
That is definitely not out of the question. This game is going to be, whatever the over is going to be slammed. Yeah. Actually, I think that's, I got to that a little bit early, but this one's going to be a fun one for sure.
Yeah.
I like Houston in this. I like the Cougars.
All right. Last spread to talk about, LSU at Auburn. I think we're both agreeing on this one.
Yes.
Go Tigers.
Yes. After that win last week at South Carolina, I am convinced that they're still a good football team down in Baton Rouge. Auburn, listen, they won. They needed a win, but they didn't convince me against Ole Miss. That game was tight. I think it ended up being a 7-point or a touchdown game, but this Auburn team is not very good. They are not very good.
Correct. They've also got some issues on the field right now in terms of, I guess Bo Nix and Seth Williams have been arguing a bit, like pushing and shoving on the sidelines. But I think they actually connected pretty well last week. I think Seth Williams ended up with like 8 catches for like 100-some yards. But I don't know. I think Miles Brennan and Coach O get this done.
Yeah, I think so too.
Taking a lot of road favorites. I'm not a big fan of that.
I mean, I guess in the SEC, it's still a road game, but is it really a road game now besides the travel?
Yeah, I guess. Well, in the SEC, sort of. It still gets loud in those SEC stadiums.
Well, the thing is, SEC seems like they don't really care how many people show up.
Yeah. So I guess it still is kind of a road game there.
ACC has been pretty good at enforcing it. Big 12 has been kind of, if you're not in the state of Texas.
And then the Big 10 is just they don't have fans.
Yeah, Big 10's doing it right. No fans.
Yeah.
They're being part of the solution.
Yeah. All right, so LSU for both of us there.
Yep.
Let's move on to our over-unders.
Let's do it.
Georgia at Kentucky, the over-under is 42.5.
That's really low, and I think this is going to be an out there take. But a battle of two good defenses, Georgia being a great defense. Against Alabama, it didn't look so great, but it's also Alabama. I think the under is going to hit here in a really weird scenario here. I just don't think either offense is – I think Georgia's offense is significantly better than Kentucky's, but I don't think it's going to blow you out the water. I think Kentucky's defense is good enough to keep them in this game. If it's close, I think the under hits.
Okay. I'm gonna give a rebuttal to that. I think the over hits in this. Kentucky had a couple defensive touchdowns, or I think it was only 2 pick sixes. Right? I think it was only 2 picks against Tennessee. Georgia's offense is really good at not turning the ball over. And what's interesting to me is they put up 24 points in the first half against Alabama. They didn't put up a single point in the second half. How do you learn from that? You have a bye week. What did they have? They had a bye week. They learned. They put up 30 points this week. I think they put up 30 points on a good defense in Kentucky. I think maybe a defensive touchdown might be mixed in there because Georgia's defense is it's good, and I think Alabama's just an anomaly this year with their offense. Georgia's defense is good.
I wouldn't judge your defense off of how you do against Alabama because they can literally kill you in 3 different ways.
Yeah, but Kentucky's defense is good, but I think Kentucky will score enough to push this over. But I think Stetson Bennett learned from his mistakes against Alabama in the second half, and I think Georgia puts up 30 plus here. All right. UCF and Houston, we both have the same take here. The over under 83.
UCF's playing in this football game. Come on now.
Yeah.
They will by themselves make this over hit on the offensive side of the ball and defensively.
Yeah. This is going to be a shootout among shootouts, and I think the Memphis and UCF game showed us that. I think it'll be kind of close to that. That one was 51-49, but I don't know if they'll reach 100 points, but I think they'll definitely soar over 83. My one note was this number is absurdly high, but I love it. Bring on the over. This might hit over 100. Just no rhyme or reason. Just
my note is UCF is playing in this game.
Correct. Yeah, basically. Notre Dame and Georgia Tech. The over-under is 57. Notre Dame's on the road here. Shelly.
All right. So my note here is that Georgia Tech is actually 4-1 this year on covering the over. And unfortunately for Georgia Tech fans who are out there, it's not because of Jeff Sims. It's not. They are a really bad football team. And when they play a really, really good football team, they tend to score a lot of points. They love giving away touchdowns. I think Notre Dame has a chance to cover this by themselves, similar to what Clemson did a few weeks ago.
Interesting.
I just don't think they're going to be able to stop that run.
Going with the under. Here's why. Georgia Tech's offense is bad right now. They are bad. They're not scoring points, and Notre Dame's not going to put up 40 plus in back-to-back games. I don't think. I wrote. I don't expect Notre Dame to single-handedly cover the over by themselves again this week. So I think the under hits, but not by much. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be far off of 57, but I think it'll be like 54.
I think if you're Notre Dame, you need to set the tone and score like 70 what? What did Clemson score, 73?
23, yeah.
So they need to score at least 74. And then we really have the conversation who's the best team in the ACC.
Exactly.
That would as funny as that sounds, there will be some talk show that talks about that. Look,
yeah.
Notre Dame beat them by 74. Is Clemson as good as we think they are? Yes, Clemson is as good as we think they are.
We'll talk about it on Student Section Podcast.
I can just see Skip Bayless making a take like that.
Him or Stephen A. I feel like Stephen A. would do that.
It's definitely a Max. That's actually honestly more of a Max.
Yeah, it is probably a Max Kellerman kind of take.
Stephen A's just probably sitting over there like, what the hell?
All right. Oklahoma and Texas Tech, the over under 69.
This one's actually kind of tough.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going. So I was doing my research on this. Neither one of these teams gave me a convincing reason of why I think the over should hit. But then I remembered what conference they were playing in, and Two
But
games.
the Big 12 is not the Big 12 anymore.
I'm aware, but
Our
these two
defense.
teams, but these are two teams that are still holding on to that Big 12 motto.
Yep.
And the two games that stood out to me the most were when they both played Texas, and those games were, I mean, albeit were overtime games,
Yep.
were shootouts. Neither one of these teams has I want to say, a good defense. I think Oklahoma may have a tick better just because they probably have better athletes across the board. I think the over hits here. I got that Big 12 mentality right now. Until they give me a reason to stop picking the overs outside of Oklahoma State and West Virginia, I'm gonna keep doing it.
Hey, I hear you. I'm gonna rebuttal it. I am going to go with the under here. Because every time that I've bet the over this year in the Big 12, the under is hit. And so I think it's time for me to reverse that.
All right, do it so that the over actually hits.
Probably, knowing my luck. But I'm confident about this because the amount of turnovers that both of these teams each, I guess, have each game. I don't even know. Both teams turn the ball over quite a bit. Spencer Rattler is a very inexperienced quarterback. He's not the polished quarterback that we usually see at Oklahoma. He's going to turn the ball over quite a bit. Texas Tech is just a fast-paced offense that they're probably going to turn the ball over a little bit.
Yeah, no, they're a little sloppy.
I think the defenses here are a little bit better than you're giving them credit for. I think we'll see.
I think Texas Tech's defense is not as bad as we think it is.
I don't think this under hits by much.
This game is going to be in the 60s for sure. It's a matter of.
I think it'll be like a 35-28 game.
It's a matter of it ticks up closer to that 70 range.
Yeah.
And that's going to, honestly, this game needs to be a shootout for the over to hit.
Yep.
Like a straight up, just old fashioned Big 12, give me 56-63 kind of game. Please, actually, because that's what I picked. But, boomer sooner.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, last game, Western Kentucky at BYU, 52.5. The over. BYU's going to cover it by themselves.
Yeah, I'm on that same page. They probably are going to hang like 50 by themselves.
Yeah, I don't know why this is so low. Western Kentucky's not.
They're aren't they a pretty high octane offense? If I'm remembering Western Kentucky right.
I mean, they put up 21, 24, 20, 14, 14, 13. So no, not really.
Okay, I'm maybe thinking of the other. Oh, is it Eastern Kentucky?
I think Eastern Kentucky, yeah.
Yeah, they're the ones that were supposed to score a lot of points, but they don't.
Yeah, they've got
Zach Wilson guy's a bad man. They also give up a lot of points too.
Yeah.
Like to Marshall, a comparable game, I guess. They let Marshall score 38, and I think BYU's offense is better than Marshall's. Love Marshall. But, I mean, it's probably the truth here. Plus, again, the time zone change. That's going to be a big impact of this, too. I think BYU is going to catch the defense sleeping a little bit.
Yeah.
Literally, because this game's going to start at 10:15. That's a late start for the boys from Western Kentucky.
It is.
I don't think time zone even really matters here, to be honest.
Yeah, BYU is just a far and better football team. And Zach Wilson is a dominant quarterback. He's a legit good quarterback, and he's proving his draft stock every single week. So, all right, that is all for our picks. But we do have cards. I guess. Do you have an extra card there? I've got 4 extra picks that I brought that I'm not going to explain. I'm just going to say them.
Yeah, Coastal Carolina is only favored by 2.5 points against Georgia State. I like Coastal Carolina there.
Okay. I've got Kentucky plus 17, Coastal minus 2.5, BYU minus 29, and Boise minus 14.
I also have Virginia Tech minus 3.5. I'm going to give them the nod.
Okay.
I think this is going to be a bounce back week for Virginia Tech. I think they're. I don't want to say they're good, but they're still a good football team there. I think that loss to Wake Forest was a little bit uncharacteristic of that team, and we're going to look up. They're going to have a pretty good record at the end of this year. I think they'll take care of Louisville on the road. And give me Ole Miss straight up.
Ooh, wait. At 16.5 or just?
No, just straight up.
I mean, I'd hope they beat Vanderbilt.
That's I need a safe pick. That's my lock of the week, actually. Ole Miss.
All right. I
also just want to have a reason to watch this game.
There's zero. Oh my gosh, dude! The only reason to watch is because Lane Kiffin's there.
It's the battle for the bottom of the SEC. The loser is the winner.
Ole Miss is a good bottom of the SEC. Vanderbilt is really, really bad. Ole Miss at least has a top 3 offense in the SEC.
I thought
Mississippi has the worst defense in college football.
I thought Mississippi State was going to have that title, but the other Mississippi team seems to have it.
Yeah.
But Ole Miss has a lot to look forward to. I think Lane Kiffin's finally going to figure it out in the SEC. He's just needs to get a defense now because the offense is there. It's always seems to be there, but.
All right, I added 2 more games. I added Wake Forest minus 11.5 against Syracuse.
How do they give Syracuse so much? Oh, and then I guess another upset too is probably going to be on there, right?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. Who are you thinking?
Thinking the 49ers.
Oh, yes. I completely looked over that game. Charlotte plus 9.5. Give me that.
Yep, same.
No, but I also took a dog. They're pretty heavy dog though, and I hate myself for doing this.
Okay.
Mississippi State plus 30.5 against Alabama.
I guess no Jalen Waddle.
Jalen Waddle. Yes, they're still going to score 40 points, but I actually think Mississippi State's going to score. Alabama's defense looks a lot better than they did the first few weeks, but I think Mississippi State's going to score. Now, how many will they score? Probably not many, but I don't know. I'm probably really stupid for this because Mississippi State scored a combined not many points.
Yeah.
They scored a combined 30 points in the last 3 games combined. So
don't forget about that 2-point stinker against Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm probably going to take this off. I didn't think about that before I wrote it down. I'm taking that off.
Yeah.
No more Mississippi State. Alabama's going to win by 50. Might even just turn that into Alabama minus 30.5. Yeah, so that's my extra card. That's all I got. I actually am gonna go against you a little bit here, and I think Louisville might actually win that game.
I don't know if I say it now, then it might defeat what its purpose of why I picked Virginia Tech. So I'm not going to say anything until after. I'll say it off the air. No, I won't say it at all.
All right. I get that. I get it. I wish Indiana and Rutgers had their. Are they playing that game or what's happening? There's no line for it.
I don't know.
I want to make a pick on it. I'm gonna say Indiana money line, but I'm gonna say Rutgers, whatever it is, to cover. I think Rutgers is better than people are gonna give them credit for this year.
I believe Greg Schiano's back again.
Schiano is back, and
they were a pretty decent football team when he was there last time.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, okay, so Rutgers is plus 10.5. I like that.
Okay, yeah.
I like that.
You're doing a twofer.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Rutgers plus 10.5 to replace Mississippi State.
I like that. Yeah, that's all I got though.
Yeah, that's all for me. This has been fun.
Smitty,
Figure it out.
come on now. You're better than that.
We will have a guest picker next week, though. Not gonna tell you who it is, but we will have it.
Yes, we will.
All right. See y'all next week. Good luck on your bet, and go Tigers.
Download Thrive Fantasy.
Yeah, $1.50.
$50.